Mic check. Okay. So last night when the market opened at 6, we have a pretty large new week opening gap, and it never traded back into it. It ended up taking the buy side that I talked about basically right away. It left this one here. It used all of the levels that I highlighted. The high during the overnight was formed during this new week opening gap from the 19th. And then the low of the daily for value gap went to the lower, not just shy of the lower octant. And then this pivot low formed right at the midpoint of the weekly for value gap. So that's pretty nice. So I was wanting to be bullish at the start of the week for, at bare minimum, this buy side here. And that was already met. And because it left this new week opening gap open, I think I actually want to be bearish at the start of the morning. I want to see it trade into the new week opening gap at bare minimum before I'm interested in going along, because I think it will want to come back down to this. If it had done it during the overnight session and had left these highs intact, then I would still want to be bullish. But because this first bullish objective was already met and it left this new week opening gap completely open, then I want to see it come down to that first. Um, Everything else still stands from what I talked about last night. I still want to see. I want to be leaning bullish, at least at the beginning of the week. Last night I said I wanted to lean bullish for it to trade into this daily fair value gap, and it's already done that just a little bit, but I think it'll go deeper into that. But first, I want to see it go to the new week opening gap. Some sell side liquidity right here formed basically at midnight. That right there is pretty stacked up, and then there's more here. This is formed during Asia. So yeah, I would be shocked at all if it blew through all of this sell side, took out these equal lows here, and then went into the new week gap. Best case scenario for an actual trade this morning would be if it leaves these lows before market open, and then at market open, it'd be even better if we left this low too. Then at market open, there's a Judas swing up into this range, and then we can key off the lower portion of the daily for value gap, and maybe use OTE of this range here. That would be best case scenario for a short targeting these lows and then the new week opening gap. ES has all the sell side down here too. NQ could even take the low. I talked about last night that on the 1 minute chart, there's these stack lows down here. It doesn't have to come take this. It highly depended on how we opened up, because we opened up so high into the range. It makes sense that it didn't come all the way back and take these lows, but I said these lows will probably get taken. The odds of that happening were way higher had we closed, or had we opened closer to this range here. But because we gapped up so far away from it, it makes sense that we didn't do that right away. But I think that's still potentially on the table. The market is looking weak because on the daily chart, we have a body here closing below the midpoint of this daily for value gap. That's a sign of weakness. And then this yellow line is a weekly fair value gap, and there's a weekly close below that as well. So those are signs of bearishness, but there's all this buy side liquidity up here in the market. So I talked about last night that if it's going to go into some sort of bear market, I would expect it to come up to these highs at a bare minimum before that happens. So I want to be leaning bullish, but there are signs of bearishness. So you just have to be selective, I guess. But because the market could be actually weak, I mean, it wouldn't shock me if it came down to these lows, especially because ES has all this stacked liquidity down here. And ES has really nice equal lows right here at its new week opening gap. Definitely want to be leaning short for the morning session. Depending on what gets taken first, I might switch my bias and go long, because we do have the equal highs here for the buy side liquidity. So it's definitely a wait and see. The market's going to open in 4 minutes, and it's pretty close to this liquidity pool, so it could just snap down and take it immediately. I would definitely want to wait until 10 o'clock if it does that, because I think it's going to go into the new week opening gap, and I feel like getting short after these lows are taken even though I think it's going down here, this is really deep in the range to be getting in short, so the odds of getting stopped are much higher. I'd rather it leave these lows, have a Judas swing higher, and then look for a short in here. If we come down first, I think it would be best to wait until 10 o'clock to look for a potential long. It's this morning. And you know what? I forgot to check the economic calendar, so need to do that. Maybe. There we go. Feel like it shouldn't take this long to load up this website. All right. There's nothing today. Tomorrow, medium impact at 10. Nothing. Wednesday. Oh, FOMC is on Wednesday. Okay. Okay, so I wouldn't be shocked if, because just looking at the chart, it could go either way. That suggests high resistance liquidity potentially, because it isn't completely obvious which direction it wants to go. There's a reason to go both directions. And FOMC is on Wednesday. That bodes well for high resistance liquidity. Market just now opened. I'm going to quickly go through the rest of the week here. There's a lot of news on Thursday. Goodness. Not necessarily for the US, it's just like filled up. Uh, okay, Friday. Medium impact at 10, 8:30. Okay, so really just Wednesday. FOMC. So that's a big deal. Go back to the chart. Here we go. The overnight session didn't really do much of anything. It mostly went sideways in this range. And then this morning during pre-market, there was a nice run here. But you had to be up at 6 a.m. I mean, you had to be up pretty early for that. So, and I'm an hour behind the market, so I'd have to be up even earlier. So this is definitely a nice entry here. But so far this morning, there's nothing. And I am noticing signs of high resistance because these wicks are quite... Like this candle here, it wicked all the way back up into this range. And it spent a lot of time right at 9:30 kind of chopping in this range here. Instead of just running straight down. I don't know. Unless you were already positioned pre-market, I don't think that there's any realistic entry in here to be taking it open. Because you don't know if they're going to, at 9:30, swing this thing up and take these highs. Potentially, like, you don't know what they're going to do at 9:30. They can do anything they want. So unless you were already positioned beforehand, not much to do. There's the new week opening gap, filled pretty quickly. So it's not filled, just traded to. Took out these equal lows here. Check ES. So bullish S&T on ES, but ES has all the sell side down here. So I really want to see ES come down here. These are really clean lows. But the market's been really strange lately. NQ has seemed a lot weaker than ES, but ES has all the sell side. So I just don't trust that this is just a low on ES and we're just going to run higher. I just don't trust that necessarily. And with the speed that NQ has fallen here, NQ being the weaker asset, it's already trading into the new week opening gap. ES hasn't done that yet. So if ES ends up falling through here, I could see NQ taking this low. So, uh, it's a volume balance. I know I checked it, I looked at the numbers, but I am just a visual person and need to see it. I just don't trust the numbers. I don't know. Because this first presented from last Friday is here, I highlighted that as a key level last night. Because the first presented for value gap is overlapping that, and this is overlapping basically the midpoint of today's first presented. Because those levels are overlapping, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one to keep the chart clean. But it's, what is that? That needs to go away. Okay. It's interesting that first presented was created right over top like they were perfectly overlapping each other there with the midpoints. So that's interesting. I think we're going to have high resistance today, at least in the morning session. It just isn't looking obvious what it wants to do. There's S&T on both sides of the market. ES is taking this high. So ES is stronger than NQ. But ES has left all the sell side. I don't think ES is going to leave this behind. It's trying to act like it's going to leave it, but it's not. It's going to come down to that. I could see it with this. If I wasn't expecting problematic price action, I could see this being used as inversion and then coming up to take out these highs and then potentially these highs up here, like as best case scenario, but I just don't trust it. See that close? Yeah. This close below the midpoint there. That isn't what you want to see. It still looks bearish. Even if it does come up out of that, you don't want to see the bodies doing that. We'll have to equal highs right here, which is kind of nice, I think, for later. It's also at high of day, so that's an easy place to target at some point, maybe after 10 o'clock. But this is already high resistance liquidity. It's not as obvious right now because there hasn't. It's really obvious once there's been a lot of time that has passed, and then you can obviously see it. But all of these inefficiencies are overlapping each other multiple times. This to me looks like the very beginning of high resistance liquidity, and it's not really the beginning. I mean, it is, but it's just hard. It's a lot easier to see it in hindsight. By the time 10 o'clock rolls around, it'll be really obvious if it's still in this range. But what happens is people think that, oh no, it's definitely going to run somewhere, and then they try to trade it back and forth. and it's just stuck, not going anywhere. The fact that it left these highs up here, that to me, uh, I don't think they're going to leave those highs intact. That's right at the high of day. So it looks bearish, but there's good reason to come back up into the range again. So it's kind of nice. This immediate rebalance right here is lying right over top the midpoint of that weekly fair value gap. This wicks low is on it, and then this wicks high is on it right there. It's kind of interesting. This is running down really nicely. Um, I like that it's pressing into the new week opening gap. That's what I was wanting to see. Just went to the upper quadrant of the daily fair value gap here. Right now, the only thing that I really like are these equal highs at high of day. I like that. But I just don't trust it's going to be really easy to get up there. I just don't. I really don't trust it because FOMC is on Wednesday, and just the price action alone is suggesting both directions. It is nice that we basically just went lower and didn't take any buy side, because now that we're trading into the new week opening gap, I would kind of expect us to meander in here a little bit. If ES, which ES is looking pretty weak all of a sudden, and ES left these highs, so that's really nice too for a buy side objective. That's really nice. So if ES starts to really kind of lose it, I could see NQ easily filling the whole new week gap and maybe taking these lows. it could be that because FOMC is on Wednesday, it could be that today, because this hasn't been high resistance, it did leave this range aggressively, and it has left some pretty obvious buy side at high of day. But it could be that today is one of the better days for trading, and then the closer we get to Wednesday, the worse it will get. So it could be that today during the morning session is pretty good, and then going into Tuesday, I would expect the market to start um, getting into some sort of range or high resistance liquidity or something. And then definitely on Wednesday up until about 2 o'clock, whenever FOMC actually comes out. And then after Wednesday, it should be good. Thursday and Friday should be good, for sure. So it could be that today is actually one of the better days to be trading. But I could also see it not being so good. But so far it's been fine, actually. What concerns me is because I'm wanting to try to go long potentially up to these highs. I think where we're at on the daily chart, it makes the most sense to be leaning long because we're in a discount and we're into this daily inefficiency. And I think it makes a lot of sense to be trying to go, trying to lean long and aim for this daily fair value gap. I think that makes the most sense right now. But the problem right now is that I don't trust that ES isn't going to come down to these lows here. And if that happens, NQ should fall over. It should go lower significantly if that happens. Spending a lot of time here. The bodies have actually respected this upper quadrant of the daily fair value gap. We've only wicked through it there, so that's kind of nice. Got a body closing above the midpoint here of this bearish fair value gap. All of a sudden, we've gotten pretty messy in here. Yeah, I want to be thinking 10 o'clock could afford a nice reversal, but I just don't trust it because I want ES to take these lows first at bare minimum. If we bounce early and ES leaves these, I do not trust a move up at all. Just waiting to see ES take this out. There you go. Okay, so I'd like to see it stab deeper through that. Um, Now that ES has done that, I can trust a move higher a lot more. I think that this is a good uh, potential inversion. That's really interesting. Yeah, see how ES ended up taking these out, going into the new week opening gap, and now look at NQ. It's just tanking, absolutely just losing it. So I said it would do that. Um, Filling in the new week opening gap is definitely on the table here, and I wouldn't be shocked if the low is taken. That would not shock me. Cool. So the short bias for the morning ended up playing out. It went to the new week opening gap like I wanted, took out these lows. It just didn't offer a move that I really trusted to get into. I don't like that it left the high here. Um, FOMC is on Wednesday, but if there was a good time to trade before Wednesday, it would be right now during the Monday open. But the closer that we get to Wednesday, the worse it will get for sure. So I just wanted to be uh, more. I just wanted to be picky today, I guess. But it does make sense that Monday morning did end up being pretty clean. But really, the best entry for this move was pre-market at 7 a.m. 7 a.m. and then maybe uh, right around in here you could have potentially gotten in, but um, the open is just challenging, I think. This ended up being a nice reclaimed bearish fair value gap. I said whenever that body closed below the midpoint that that was bearish, and you don't want to see that for going higher. And then it ended up using it here, falling through it. Used this midpoint of the weekly fair value gap right there. And then used the high of the daily fair value gap and the new week opening gap right here during the 950 macro. And now it's really losing it because ES took out these lows and is now filling in its new week gap. So all that played out pretty well how I would have expected it. My commentary on like a potential long or choppiness was due to FOMC on Wednesday. If that wasn't happening Wednesday, I would have been a lot more comfortable trying to just go short and targeting the new week opening gap. So we're about to fully fill in that gap here. The low, we're hitting it just about now. And then there's liquidity here. There's sell side. Right about there. And then obviously these lows that I talked about last night, I felt pretty good about those getting taken. Happening a lot later than I would have expected, just because it was such a large new week opening gap higher. But that's a pretty clean move down. That's nice. Maybe I should have trusted it more because it is Monday, but ICT talks about on non-farm payroll that the Monday of non-farm payroll week is one of the best Mondays you can trade. And I feel like that's, I haven't heard him say this specifically, but with FOMC weeks, I feel like Mondays are similar to Mondays that are on non-farm payroll weeks. Mondays can be pretty good if there's really, really high impact, important news later in the week. Mondays can be pretty good. So it is 10 o'clock now. I wouldn't be shocked if we get some sort of reversal, even if it's just short term, back into this range here. But at this point, there's no reason to go short. We're way, 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 way too deep into discount to be justifying any sort of short trade. Um, well, yeah, I mean this played out exactly as I said it should. ES took this low, and then NQ absolutely lost it. So it's pretty nice. Okay. Right, so we just took those lows there, right here. I really like the buy side right here, the ES left. That's so obvious to me that it will come up and disrupt that. Not necessarily today, but that's pretty nice. And I really like that the high of day for the morning session in Q is right here, and it left that. So that's a really nice spot to target as well. Because it's 10 o'clock and we swept that low there, the liquidity over here, I wouldn't be shocked if this is some sort of low for a move back up into the range. Would not be shocked at all. Typically, 10 o'clock will offer some sort of reversal on the already existing move. It can potentially completely reverse price and change the entire trend, or it can have just a pullback and then offer a continuation, an entry for continuation to the already existing move. But because it's 10 o'clock, now it's time uh, for price to do something, and it has swept that liquidity right there. And we filled in the new week gap. So things are starting to add up for reasons to for price to go higher. It's nothing I'm really interested in trading though. I think the afternoon session could offer something. The morning session was pretty good actually. Um, had the morning session taken high of day here, I think I would have been more inclined to go short. But because it left that, I just did not, and I thought we could have high resistance in here. I didn't trust at all that it wouldn't come up and take this out. And that's right where my stop loss would be. So it's like if I got in on the inversion here, my stop loss would be going where all of retail's stop losses are at. So I would just be putting myself uh, in the same liquidity pool that everyone else is in. And that's kind of dumb. Like, I don't, why would I do that? Um, Again, best entry was pre-market. If you're not getting in pre-market, getting in here isn't as good. I don't think. I think I just don't think it makes sense to put my stop loss above equal highs like that. If it had taken it out, that's a lot better, but it didn't. So so this is the end of the macro. Yeah, it looks like we are going to go for these lows here. I mean, this just played out exactly how I thought it would. with ES coming down to its new week gap. That just, I mean, NQ just lost it at that point. So that's nice. I would like to see NQ tip that low, but right now there's nothing to do. There's no reason to go long. I even said here this could offer a reversal, but there's no reason to go long. And there's definitely no reason to go short at this point. The risk reward, like trying to scalp this down to here, just isn't worth it necessarily. So yeah, it's just straight down basically. I mean, this was a lot cleaner than I expected it to be, and I feel like maybe I should have expected it to be cleaner because it is Monday. Seeing FOMC on Wednesday kind of spooked me a little bit, but Monday would be the better day. But Mondays are weird because sometimes price action on Mondays is really bad. But I have noticed that if there is really important news coming out later in the week, like on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, Monday can be very good, especially because the overnight session didn't do anything. All the overnight session did was accumulate at the buy side. So, and generate sell side. So, because the overnight did absolutely nothing and it just accumulated at the highs, it makes sense that the New York Open would run in a direction that does make sense. But and I was leaning short for the new week opening gap. But I also think it's fine being cautious with FOMC coming up. I do wish I would have realized Monday can be the better day to be trading on a week like this. I didn't really think about that in the moment, but that's fine. But I think the market has set up really nicely for a move higher at some point because ES left this really, really clean liquidity pool here. And my bias that I talked about last night definitely still stands. I think. I think coming up for the buy side here and here is reasonable. And then for like a low hanging fruit, just easy objective would be trading into this daily for value gap. I think that would make a lot of sense. Really just waiting to see if it ends up taking these lows, and then I'll probably be done and come back for the afternoon session. There you go. All right, so nice move down. Um, it's fine that I didn't capture it. It's best to be cautious, I think. Um, it's probably just due to my lack of experience, but if this high of day got tipped, a lot higher odds I would have gotten in short somewhere in here. Because that was left and FOMC's on Wednesday, I didn't trust that it would just run away from this liquidity. I felt there was a pretty decent chance it could come up and tag that, and that's right where my stop loss would be. Because where else do you put it? Putting it up here is unreasonable. That's too much risk. So, uh, maybe you could argue that, well, after it displaces through this low, maybe you could argue that it's less likely to come up here, but it didn't really offer much of a premium. If I had gotten in at the high of the daily for value gap and new week opening gap, I guess I could have the stop here above the inversion. I mean, I guess that would be fine for risk, but I don't know. I just didn't have. I felt confident in it trading to the new week opening gap. And then if ES decided to roll over, I felt pretty confident in, at bare minimum, on NQ filling in the new week opening gap, and then best case scenario taking out this low. But I just didn't have enough conviction to actually put money on it. Mostly because of FOMC on Wednesday, but Monday did end up being pretty clean. So only thing to do now is just wait for the afternoon session, and maybe something sets up for some sort of reversal to go long during the afternoon session. If not, then there's probably not much else to do today. So I'll probably be coming back at around 11:30 New York.